Welcome to the John Bontrager pregame show. I'm standing here in Center Grove High School alongside Coach Eric Moore. And Coach, first of all, let me say congratulations on a great victory last week in the regional, overtaking Avon in a fantastic football game. And this now gives your program the 13th opportunity to be in the Final Four, which is nothing short of remarkable in the 20 years you've been here.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Our kids and our coaches prepared very hard and very well, and they came out with the mission in mind, and just like it just happened. You know, we had things we wanted to do, and we got it done. The kids played at an excellent level with energy. We made very few mistakes as far as turnovers and stuff like that, and you know, sometimes that's the biggest thing in high school football is the line of scrimmage and turnovers. And I thought our defensive line was amazing. And I thought our offensive line, you know, did a good enough job to contain the football. You know, when you can hold the football on anybody in high school for eight and a half minutes, that's a great task. So just really proud of our guys and our coaches and everybody that participated.
So many people came up and were surprised that we were able to hold Avon scoreless, and the truth is, the last 2 of the 3 games we've played, we've been able to do that. Not so sure that's going to be the case tonight, as you got a great challenge in Warren Central, #1, nationally ranked, undefeated, MIC champs, everything you want to know about them. Yeah. But the good news is we do know a lot about them, and we're experienced in playing them in the tournament. So, you know, what's your thoughts going into tonight's game, knowing we're 1 game away from, you know, clipping our ticket to get to Lucas Oil?
One thing about semifinal games like this, and you're in the Final Four and you're playing to go to the state, sometimes when you're at home, it's harder to concentrate. There's more distractions throughout the day, throughout the afternoon, throughout pregame. Where when you're on the road, we've played at Warren Central 2 times on the road and won in the playoffs the last 2 times. Something about you just get one bond and you feel like everybody's against you, and you're all dressed together and you walk out and you just take the field, you know, trying to be a champion. We're very proud of our being in this situation for 13 times. It's sort of remarkable for a program that had only went 1 time in however many 50, 70 years, whatever, and now we've been there back in 13 times, and we've played a lot of different teams to get there. But this is the tough game. This semifinal game, you know, all the pressure is spread out. I do think there's more pressure on the undefeated ranked #1 team because they have everything to lose. We don't have anything to lose. We're playing with, we're playing with house money tonight. We're going to have fun. That's a big thing. We're going to have fun. We're going to try to be physical, have fun, be physical, play fast, try to somehow take away that big play they make. If we can control that big play offense, we got a chance.
Last week we said one of the major keys is for us to have ball control, hold on to that ball, and 3 and outs are almost like a turnover, and I don't think that that's really going to be much different tonight. We did a good job of that last week. Warren, on the offensive side, literally has 2 or 3 true Mr. Football candidates, and George, the running back, and then certainly the guy that we all really have come to like, just probably our most favorite player in Warren Central history, and David Bell. He's electrifying, and is it fair to say the game plan's very similar?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, there's things we're going to try to do. There's things we're going to try to take away. You know, the quarterback, you know, Jaden George is a great quarterback, but he's got to have help. He's got to have blockers. Guys got to catch balls. David Bell is a unique player. You know, obviously he's awesome, great person, great kid, and a great football player and a great basketball player. But he's a great football player if he gets the ball in his hands. So what you try to do there is limit the time he gets the ball in his hands. But it's going to happen, so we can't freak out. We played him the last time, and he didn't score 10 touchdowns. Hopefully he won't tonight. But that's all going to play its way out. The real problem is when you can turn around and give it to Elliott. Elliott, the running back, I think is the most underrated high school player in the state. I believe that kid is as good as anybody. And I knew after the game 1, I told Coach West after the game 1, that's a true running back right there. You got yourself a classic. And we both agree that no one really knows that much about him. No one really cared that much about him. And this season, he's proven to be the real cog in the wheel for them. So along with stopping Bell, you somehow got to stop that big offensive line from producing big holes for him, because when he gets out in the open field, he's just as dangerous.
Not very often you get a Final Four game where you have 2 programs that know each other well, conference opponents, but then you have 2 running backs. You just talked about Warren Central, and then you got the Warhorse. Combined yardage, they're pushing over 5,000 yards right now for the season, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's really neat. I think if you looked all across the state, I don't know how many teams are playing tonight that played each other in a season period. And even though it was game one, there's a lot of information that we can take from that, a lot of information they can take. But then to have two backs that played so well the first game and continue to play well every single game the rest of the season, and then meet back up to it. Yeah, Carson Steele, the Warhorse, has been he's been the guy for us, and he's a clock controller, and we're not going to change that. We're not going to surprise everybody. You have to stop him to stop us, and that's just honest. And with LA, it's the same way. They got all these nice toys they can play with, but when it comes down to it, they're going to give the ball to 21 and try to ice the game.
How gratifying is it? And it's been this way for the 20 years you've been here, but here you are in the Final Four, and 3 of the 4 teams being represented come from the MIC Conference, and Center Grove, as you've been able to build this program, has consistently been one of those 4 that get to the end of the season and are playing for that chance to go to Lucas Oil. But it just shows you how really strong our schedule is, and how much of a challenge it is to go through a long season like this. And then every year we got to play, whether it's Warren, whether it's Ben Davis, whether it's Carmel, in some cases both of them twice. It's an incredible challenge.
So your question was, well, obviously our schedule is the best in the state, and like I've always said, the schedule sets you up to do what we're doing this year, to be a Final Four, to be a state finalist, or it sets you up to be so beat up and injured that you can't even make it out of your sectional. And that's the fear of it. And it's only happened to us a couple times the other way. But, when you win a regional, it's a happy thing. We celebrate. That's a huge thing, getting to the semi-state game. There's hundreds of schools in this state that play football that never get to the semi-state, let alone 13 times. So we're very proud of that, but we're also very excited for this group of kids. This group of kids this year now have made their trademark as, hey, we're one of those teams that got to the Final Four that never can be taken away from them for as long as they live. And I think that's something they get to put themselves up on that foundation, that building block for the future. So, yeah, the schedule, while we're doing it, it's the worst thing that can happen to a coach. But when it's all done, you feel good tonight because I know we've seen everything there is to see. Will we play terrible and lose? I don't know. But we know that we can play football with anybody. And if you're telling me we got a chance, I'm loving it.
Well, when the tournament started, we played a game at the end of every interview, and so far by doing that, we're undefeated, obviously. So I don't have a name for this game. It's going to be more of a Q&A. But think about your interview. I'm going to make it easy for you. Think about, it's kind of like an open book test. Your interview with JMV, you talked about a number, so that might be a little hint to some of the answers to your questions other than maybe one. And for those of you who don't know, Coach Moore every year seems to find a number that has significance to the current team of that current year. In 2008, the number was 2 and had a lot to do with safeties, etc., and it came out to be beneficial for us. But for this, your first question: if we are fortunate to beat Warren Central tonight in the playoffs, how many straight times would that be that we've beaten them?
Well, first off, which interview with JMV are you talking about? Are you talking about the JMV interview that he lost on the computer and we had to redo, or are you talking about the one we did live? Love those guys and appreciate their support. This would be, let me count. 1, 2, the third time we played.
Be 3. That's exactly right. That's fantastic. And then you also have a family that's been involved in this program for a long time in the Pence family. How many boys do they have?
3.
3. And being seniors in some way, shape, or form, and fashion, if we're fortunate to win this game going into Lucas Oil, how many times would that be that they would have involvement during the game?
3 is another answer.
3. We're doing good now. This is where it's going to be a little difficult. If Scott McCoy was in front of a food buffet, how many times would he go up to the buffet?
5.
I was going to say 6. But we got to keep the number going, and that is, if we're fortunate to win, you got another opportunity. And if we were able to go into Lucas Oil after tonight and get a victory, how many state titles would that be for this program and this school?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. David Bell's a tremendous player, and he's number 4. And our theme all year long has been one team, Center Grove, one team. 3 or 4, take away 1 is 3. I'll answer that.
Fantastic, Coach. Good luck. Great season. Let's finish one tonight and get to Thanksgiving weekend where we can celebrate a great year in Lucas Oil.
I can't wait. Thanks. Hope everybody wraps up. Don't worry about the weather. Your adrenaline will be so pumped up you won't even feel the cold. You're used to it, Trojan fans. It's rainy or cold every week for the last 5 weeks. Let's bear it out, gut it out. Be there for those guys tonight. They need you. Go Trojans.